Hello and welcome to episode 101 of Generation GC, You're Gone, a bonus track / B-side from Good Morning Revival, Good Charlotte's fourth album released in 2007. My guest today is Crystal Elkins, once again, and as always, my name is Molly Hudelson. I'm your host, as well as the producer, creator, and editor of this podcast. Last time, we talked about Once Upon a Time, the Battle of Life and Death, the intro track from the Chronicles of Life and Death, and on our next episode, we'll be talking about a song from Cardiology. Crystal Elkins lives in a small town in Iowa where she works for a grocery chain warehouse. She's a mom to two incredible boys, and Crystal started listening to GC back in the early days, and to this day, they continue to get her through some incredibly tough times. At Warped Tour in 2016, she finally met the band and couldn't even find the words to tell them how much they mean to her. Good Charlotte will forever be Crystal's favorite band. And let's be real, they will forever be my favorite band too, and I know a lot of you listening share that sentiment. I also want to make sure that I mention that due to this song and how heavy and intense it is, there are going to be some trigger warnings in the show notes as well as resources. We do talk about death and grief and loss in this episode. There's also mentions of suicide. There's nothing graphic or disturbing mentioned in that sense, but I understand that sometimes you're just not up to listening to something so heavy. And if that's you, that's totally okay. Join us next time. Also, hi, here we are, episode 101, just a week after episode 100 was released. Wow! I am super happy to share that I am on track to get episodes 102 and 103 out in the next few weeks, so stay tuned for the announcements for each of those. They are pretty awesome. After the year I've had, it feels really, really good to feel like I am on track again. As I continue working to manage my health and take care of myself, as well as just balance some things that have come up in my personal life, I'm hoping to find a steady schedule for Generation GC in 2023. And as soon as I know what that looks like, I will make all of the announcements. It's probably not going to go back to, a new episode every single week that it got pretty hard to keep up with, but I'm going to try to figure out a pattern that is regular, so you'll know when new episodes are coming. And a few reminders before we go into this episode. I am very much looking for guests for new episodes that will be recorded in the new year. I have a lot of cool ideas for new episodes, and I am hoping to find some good guests. And along with that, I want to remind everyone that I love having guests from all around the world and from all different backgrounds on Generation GC. If English isn't your first language, that's okay. As long as you're comfortable holding a conversation in English, you're good to go. And different backgrounds doesn't just mean location or ethnicity. It means ensuring a varied gender and sexuality representation and representing fans of different ages and fans with your own unique life experiences of any sort. So if you think you might want to be on Generation GC, if you've got a story to share, if you want to talk to me about Good Charlotte, hello, please reach out. I would love to have you on the show. Finally, Generation GC stickers are here. If you do want a sticker, all you gotta do is support the show on Anchor. Go to anchor.fm/generationgcpod and click support. All of that money goes right back into making the show the best that it can be, from printing and shipping the stickers, to getting equipment that I need, to Dropbox storage, to make sure I have backups of everything. So, if you want the stickers to support the show on Anchor, send me a screenshot of your support as well as your mailing address, and I will send you some stickers. You can reach me on email, generationgcpod@gmail.com. You can also reach out on social media at Generation GC Pod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in, and now on to episode 101.
Okay, so today we are talking about You're Gone, which is a bonus track / B-side from the Good Morning Revival era. I guess B-side is like a better term than bonus track because it was included on the CD single for The River, which also had the album version of The River and then an acoustic version of The River. Mm-hmm. I was thinking of this. I had heard this song because I pre-ordered the album like as soon as they announced it, but I illegally downloaded it like a couple weeks before it came out, and the illegal download I found included Face the Strange and Jealousy and You're Gone. Which is not an actual edition of the album, I don't think.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. but this is a great song, and it's like very powerful. Per songmeanings.com, it was written by Benji Madden and Don Gilmore, who produced the album. It was not a single. It has never been played live. This is the second time we've covered a bonus track on Generation GC, the first being The Click from the self-titled album. But, like, I would argue that You're Gone is even more of a deep cut than that, because if you bought the self-titled album, like, 2001 or later, The Click was on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I bought the self-titled album in, like, 2003, a couple months after I heard Young and the Hopeless, and I was like, I don't know, The Click was just part of the album.
I didn't even know that it wasn't even a part of the album for the longest time.
Yeah, I think a lot of people didn't, because a lot of us, I think because a lot of us found GC with the Young and the Hopeless,
mm-hmm.
and by that point, The Click was part of.
Right.
We have a lot to get into with this song, but first, Crystal, I want to help our listeners get to know you. And the first thing I like to ask is, when did you first hear Good Charlotte, and what were your first thoughts on them?
It was probably like 2002, 2003.
Okay.
And I was in love right away.
Yeah?
And they've been my favorite ever since. Like, I mean, I think in high school, people knew me as the Good Charlotte girl. That's what they called me that, literally.
I never got called the Good Charlotte girl, but I think I got known as that. Did people, like, talk to you about their music, or was it more like like, you're obsessed with, you know?
You're obsessed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
That's
a t-shirt for every day of the week.
Yes. A bunch of my old GC teachers obviously don't fit anymore because I'm no longer, 13 years old. But I try to keep all the important ones. Do you have a lot of t-shirts still? A lot of GC shirts still?
Yes, I have them all saved. They're in a tote, and I plan on just honestly putting them into a blanket sometime.
I was going to say, like, a t-shirt blanket, or you could make, I mean, depending on how much space you have, you could make them into individual throw pillows and just have, like, decorate, like, have a whole, spare room, like your whole living room, or your whole guest room that's, like, filled with GC pillows.
Like, I would, if I kept everything that I ever had, it would be
too much.
Yeah, my walls, I have pictures somewhere. My walls used to be, when I was in high school, Good Charlotte everywhere.
Yeah?
Like, onto the ceiling, every magazine clipping from, like, M or, like, Teen Tiger, whatever B, I don't know what it was, but all of those little tiny clippings, all of them were on my walls.
I had so many. I had binders full of clippings. Amazing. And I love that we're bonding over this. Oh my God. I want more GC shirts. I need them to put out a new album because I want the album, but I also want, like, new shirts with, like, a new vibe,
Yes.
So, Crystal, another question I like to ask everyone at the top of the show is, have you ever seen Good Charlotte live?
3 times? I think 3 times.
Amazing.
Yes.
Were most of your shirts that you bought, like, at the shows, or that you got,
Actually,
online or Hot Topic?
So back when Sam Goody was a thing.
Yes!
Before it became, like, FYE, I bought wristbands and t-shirts and all of that from there all the time. I have one shirt that came from when I saw them in Minneapolis probably 6 years ago.
Okay.
7 years ago. Something like that.
Amazing. Well, Crystal, you are our first guest on the show from Iowa. Tell me about Iowa, I think Des Moines area. I mean, is there, like, a lot of concerts coming through, or are you usually traveling to Minneapolis?
Des Moines is my main concert destination.
Okay.
I did, my first time I saw Good Charlotte, I saw them in Des Moines. They get Amazing. A lot of shows.
Yeah. Okay. Because I feel like I sometimes never know with, like, a smaller city how many tourists go through. So have you been to any concerts lately in Des Moines?
Yes, I saw Memphis Mayfire.
Ooh.
With Dance Gavin Dance a few months ago.
Okay.
And Snow the Product a few months before that.
Nice. Very nice. Sounds like you get out a lot, which is awesome. Okay, so one more thing I want to touch on before we dive into You're Gone specifically. And you are a parent, you have 2 young sons. I love chatting with parents about this and asking them, have you played any Good Charlotte for your children? And if so, what do they think?
I play them a lot of things. My oldest is definitely more into the techno-y, weird dance things that he does right now. And then my youngest, he just loves everything. Like, he just sits all day, and he doesn't talk yet. He's 3.
Okay.
He has a speech delay, so he just sings all day. Just,
oh my God.
What like they would call nonsense words, but he's making sounds and stuff, but all day just sings. Like, I could play him a song and he would be singing it, but in his own words.
Like, not necessarily the words, but singing along and
Yep.
Oh, I love
just
that.
making noises and singing and dancing all day, every day.
That's awesome. Well, Crystal, let's get into the show. We connected on Twitter, I think earlier this year, and I want to know why you want to talk about You're Gone.
I absolutely love that song. Like, it is, honestly, it's been one of my favorites. That whole CD is so good. I really do love, like, every Good Charlotte song ever, but this one's just one of those tug at your heartstrings, feel something kind of vibes.
Yeah, it's definitely a tug at your heartstrings song. Like, and I'm like, okay, this song is like so intense and so powerful.
But it's such a good vibe at the same time. Like, it's like tug at your heartstrings, but I can just like chill and just like,
I don't know. I think we'll get into like the lyrics and stuff in a sec. I can kind of see why it wasn't included on the main album, because it's like it's heavy, but I wish it got more of a release, even if it was like a deluxe edition of the album that would get us a wider release. So yeah, I mean, this is a very deep cut. There's not a whole lot out there about this song online, although I was looking through just these and like some other notes that I had, and Joel apparently had this saved as fan song, which makes sense, I think. But let's get into it. I mean, Crystal, I want to know, like, when you listen to this song, when you look at the lyrics, what's your interpretation of what's going on with what they're saying?
To me, like, I know I've read a lot of like the theories and thoughts, fan thoughts and stuff behind it. Like, for me, when I listen to it, I just think of the people that I've lost.
Okay.
Like, just people that if they were still here, like, the story would be different. Things would be different.
Yeah.
But they aren't, so it's hard to put into words, I think.
Yeah.
Like, that friend that if they were here, they'd be doing something incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, they said you were young. I think it's like the first line. You were young, you were bright, you were beautiful, you were everything anyone wanted a child. Like, I think about someone who's passed away, like, because sometimes we can talk about a song and it's like, oh, maybe this is about a breakup, and maybe this is about someone dying. I think this one is pretty, both the lyrics, but I think this one is pretty directly about someone who passed.
Definitely.
Yeah, hold on. I'm pulling up the lyrics. Okay, yeah. So in the chorus, he says, you were not supposed to leave this world that way. You were not supposed to leave this world that day. So I think that is pretty directly someone who
Definitely.
has passed, which is pretty intense. Like, I mean, we talked about Ghost of You earlier this year, and that's like, okay, yeah, it talks about a ghost, but our general conclusion, although, you know, who knows, general conclusion was like, nah, that was probably like, you know, a former partner, right?
Right.
I think this song, I get the impression it was written about specifically a fan, someone who would like turn to Good Charlotte's music when they were struggling, and it's kind of like probably wishing they had said thank you or just connected with them earlier,
Right.
which, you know, so I want to mention, because it's not explicit in the song, and because this was like a B-side, it wasn't really talked about in interviews or anything. The band, I don't think, ever said anything officially about this, to my knowledge. You know, there's kind of like a fan discourse, if you will, of like, is this song about a fan who took their life, or is this about a fan who passed at a young age from like an accident or a terminal illness? I don't know. It's tempting to like explore that, but I hesitate to dive too deep into that because like we just don't know.
And I like the openness of it because each person can add it to their, you know, their playlist for a specific person, and it doesn't have to be, you know, there's no specific story behind it, so they can, I don't know what the word I'm trying to figure out, like
pull what they want from it.
Yeah, like they can use that, like, to me, like, it makes me think a lot about my friend Andy, who we lost just randomly a few years ago. And he was the greatest person ever, like, I've ever met. And he was incredible, the most genuine, kind-hearted person you'll ever meet in your life. And he did randomly pass away. It was out of nowhere. So that's like, you were not supposed to leave this world that way. You were not supposed to leave this world that day.
Like,
my Andy song.
There's no way you can anticipate that, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. And I can see, like, with losing a friend, like, how, especially out of nowhere, just how much this could connect, because I feel like there's almost this sense of, like, just wondering and just longing in this song. I think longing is the big one. Like, I get a big one. I think in a second, I want to kind of talk about Good Charlotte's like relationship with their fans. And I have some thoughts on that I don't think I even got them all into the notes. But something I'm just kind of thinking about as we're talking about this, it's like almost a sense, and tell me if you connect with this, but like a sense of regret in this song. Like,
yes,
regret that you didn't say something earlier, whether it's telling this person thank you or I love you, or helping them move out of their shitty apartment, or whatever they need. It's like a sense of regret, and like I think that's what makes this song to me like so powerful and almost like devastating, is that regret, like just wishing you could change something, but it's too late to like
wishing you go back and spend more time, or get that one last hug, or you know, like
I've lucky I've never, you know, had a friend pass, but I like anytime I talk, like I'm very liberal with saying I love you to my friends, you know, because it's like, I mean, if I just met a new friend, I'm not like, you know, but anyone I'm close to, like that I feel like a loving connection for, that's a friend, like I'm very liberal with that. And like, family too, and it's like it I don't know, it costs me nothing to say I love you, or just to tell someone that you appreciate them, right? It's like I've never regretted saying that, right? Whether a family member or a friend, or an old coworker that was really helpful, whatever. Like,
I mean, I think I told the pizza guy one time on the phone accidentally that I loved him before I hung up. So
oh yeah,
I get that. I tell everyone I love them all the time.
yeah.
Everyone deserves to feel that. Everyone deserves to feel that love. Like,
yeah, and I've the past 2 months I've like really had a lot of fun, like playing with my hair, but also like wearing really cute outfits. I mean, I'm wearing like a 1,000-year-old t-shirt right now, but like I have had so much fun like going clothes shopping and playing with outfits. And it's like if you get like the right sales lady at the clothing store, and they like really help you, like they like listen to like what kind of thing you want, and tell you like if it fits, if it looks good, or like they pick the right hat to go with it, whatever. Oh, that's like the best feeling. And like I worked retail very, very briefly, but like, they're not always like appreciated. Generally, they're not paid very well.
Right.
So like I just like gush, right? Like, oh my God, thank you. This is amazing. Like I feel so confident. Like I just feel so good. And I think that's so huge. That's I feel like that's going to be my kind of PSA takeaway from this episode is like, tell people you love them. Say thank you. Tell people you appreciate them. If you know someone that needs help them if you're able. And just give people emotional support if you can. Just be their friend if you can. That's like the biggest thing.
Yep.
I think. But
definitely. Life's too short to not do that.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Every once in a while, like it doesn't happen that often anymore, but it's kind of like during college and my first few years after, it would be like every like 6 months, I would just go on a spree of like, oh my gosh, I'm going to reach out to like every single person I'm like somewhat friends with and be like, hey, like, I really appreciate you. I'm so glad you're friends. And like, just, what's going on with you? Like, and it would be like one afternoon, I would sit down and text like a whole bunch of people. And now I kind of want to do it again because I haven't done that in a really long time.
Sometimes it's also, like from the other side of it, it's nice to know that someone just reached out to you and just wanted to say hi, or that they were thinking of you. And like, we all need that.
Yeah.
We all need somebody to do that. And we all need to try to do that for somebody else if we can.
Yeah. No, we all need a connection. And I feel like the past, several years, like at least the kind of messaging I've like seen, this is both like in, articles in like Cosmopolitan magazine and stuff I see on TikTok or Twitter, and also stuff I like hear from family and friends. I feel like there's kind of this move of, and maybe this is just my circle, so I'm curious if you felt this, like just a big move of individuality and independence, not in the sense of be your own person, like be who you are, be true to yourself, so much as like don't depend on anyone. Like don't which no person can be everything, but for anyone, like that's not a thing that exists. But like I just want to put it out there that like I don't know, it's okay to like need people, like that's like extremely human. Like
definitely.
Have you heard any of that kind of messaging as well?
In a sense, yes. Like my direct friend group has been very like supportive and like,
yeah, good.
Make sure that everyone knows that we're all here for each other. And
no, that's great. And that's, I think, what's super important is like having that close circle around you that is ready to support you and is ready to ask for support. And like, okay, here's my other like PSA, I guess, for this. Like, I think, and I do want to get into Good Charlotte's relationship with the fans, and I think we're gonna pivot to that shortly. But this is just hitting me that, like, you know, I think in like early mid 2000s, especially as like emo culture was kind of like becoming really popular, there started to be a big message of like, you know, if you're struggling, you can reach out for help, talk to your parent, or talk to your guidance counselor at school, talk to your parent, and they'll help you find a therapist. And I just want to like kind of extend the like, it's okay to reach out for help as like, it's okay to like text your friend that you're lonely and like, hey, can we like get coffee or something soon? Or can we FaceTime if they're far away? Like,
Right.
Because help is so much. Help includes, but is not limited to, you know, professional help like therapy and medications.
Right. Sometimes all you need is just a conversation with your best friend, or you just need a walk, not talking at all, but just having somebody there. And that's okay. It's okay to ask for that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I used to have a friend. I still have this friend. We just, you know, live pretty far away now and are just like in different places of life. But like, we're actually going to a concert together in like a month. But like, I was doing a whole lot of photography when we were, you know, me and this friend were like hanging out all the time. And sometimes she would just like come over and like we'd like hang out and like watch TV like while I like edited photos on my laptop, and she like, you know, play games on her phone. And it's just nice how like having someone there and like feeling connected.
Definitely.
Well, I do want to pivot and talk about Good Charlotte's relationship with their fans a little bit. I have some interview quotes we'll pull, and then I have some other thoughts that are actually have just been coming up as we've been talking about this. I think like anyone who's a GC fan, like anyone who's listened to this show, anyone who's been a guest on this show, anyone who it knows of Good Charlotte at all, even if they're not like a hardcore fan like you and I think anyone would say that Good Charlotte is a band for the fans more than the critics.
They're so freaking nice.
Yeah.
Like,
and critics like have not always been great, but they're more concerned with like making those relationships with their fans and making the music that connects with the fans than like making music the critics will like, right?
Right.
And there's definitely been like a few songs that are very clearly for the fans. Like Hold On, notably, was essentially inspired by like hearing fans share stories of how much they connected to the first record and wanting to give those fans like a very direct like kind of message of hope. There are a lot of like interviews and stories I could quote. I have a few here. We're going to start off with an Alter the Press interview from 2010, which I don't know if they're still active, but Alter the Press always had some like really good interviews, like really like in depth, and I love that. So Alter the Press asked, how is it being back on the road? Joel says that they just played the first show in Moscow and it was insane. And then Benji says, our fans are so hardcore and sometimes you forget how hardcore they are. It's the most rewarding thing about it all. Joel says, you go home and live your life. I got kids, I've got a life. I go months without talking about my music with anyone. When you get back on the road, you forget that you have fans and people who like your music. You play these shows and it's really touching. Benji said, I think tonight is going to be like that. Our fans in the UK are so hardcore. No matter how small or large they are in numbers, they listen to every lyric, know every song and every B-side. It's cool. Another quote from this Alter the Press interview. So Alter the Press said that Cardiology wasn't the first instance the band has scrapped an album. What was the reason this time? And Joel is talking about working with Howard Benson, which, well, many of you listening know, Howard Benson produced the original version of Cardiology, which, like, I'm so desperate to hear, even though, like, I get why, you know, they probably never want to share any of that. But, like, what I wouldn't give. And Joel says, he's about Howard Benson. He's a great producer, and you have to give the guy respect. He's made a lot of great records. Howard's made some of my favorite records from bands that I love. He has like a factory assembly line for making records. He does 10 records at a time, and it's like building songs. We got 70% done, we heard it, and thought it just wasn't a good Charlotte record. It was a good record. I guarantee if those songs got on the radio, they would have been hits, but it didn't have the soul. We always believe we have a soul to our records that other bands don't have, and we have to believe that to keep going. This record didn't have that. It was unanimous after hearing the first round of mixes. Benji said, after we were all pretty calm about it, and said we'd do whatever it takes. It was the right decision. We knew the focus of this record had to be the soul and reconnecting with our fans. Because, side note, but Good Morning Revival was pretty divisive, I think.
Right. Which I was just reading like on Twitter the other day, like they were talking with the Avenged Sevenfold guys back and forth about different albums and stuff, and they talked about Chronicles and Good Morning Revival and all of that, and it was just so crazy to see. Like,
yeah, and obviously Cardiology came after Good Morning Revival, but which is what we're talking about today. But I think that just like that whole discourse kind of does a really good job of showing like we're not really concerned about like making radio hits so much as connecting, doing what they want and connecting with the fans. In 2011, Benji did an interview with the Baltimore Sun, and he had said that he was in the first few shows of that tour. He was kind of surprised that fans can still sing along to B-sides from years ago. But he says, there are a lot of perks to the job. The reason you write songs is in the hope there's a handful of people who will hear the lyrics for the reason you wrote them. That's one of the reasons we love coming to Maryland. There's so much love for us. I love that. I feel like that's so powerful. Like, people who connect with the songs for the reason you wrote them. Because a lot of songs are somewhat open-ended,
Right.
And that's what's been fun about this podcast is like kind of diving into it and being like, okay, it might be this or it might be that. And then like you read like an interview and it's actually something else they were thinking about, which I think is really cool.
But I think it's cool too because it can give you a different insight. Like you could connect it to things in your life on completely different levels. Like you could listen to this song today because of this reason, but then tomorrow you want to listen to it because you're feeling something completely opposite, but it still works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like, especially Good Morning Revival, quite frankly, is such a journey that it could be like you put this record on and it's like a dance party. It could also be like talking into like some pretty serious loneliness and sadness and heartbreak.
I actually played one of my very best friend where I live. She bartends at our local bar, and I played All Black on the jukebox last night because, like I said, literally, like when we first started becoming friends, we went on a shopping trip, and when she started singing that song along with it, when it came on my shuffle or my playlist, I was like, I knew she was going to be my best friend forever.
Love that. I love that. I want to read one more quote from an interview, and then we can talk a little more about, GC and their relationship with their fans. There was an interview that Joel did with Rock Sound in 2018. And he said a lot here. I might skip around a bit, but he said, what we have come to learn from our fans is be yourself and don't lie. It's as simple as that. That's what we have always tried to honor. That's what it was like when we had 5 years off. We aren't lying to you. We don't have anything to say right now. We are turning it all off. And obviously they came back a few years later, and it's now been several years. And now I think we're like, okay, new album, please. It's been a couple of years now. But again, I think they're all doing other things. Like, they're all doing, like, Veeps and MDDN, and then Joel on Ink Master, like clearly took up a lot of time. Have you been watching Ink Master?
I have not. I just like saw the commercial for it last night and I was like, I need to get Paramount Plus so I can watch this.
Okay, because I was gonna say like, I was like just about to cancel cable, but now maybe I won't because of Ink Master, but if it's on Paramount Plus, maybe I'll just get that.
Yeah, I think it's exclusive to that.
Okay. I'll have to check. Because cable is like, there's like one show that I watch live on cable, and then otherwise it's like, oh, once in a while I want to watch this, but there's streams of like pretty much anything that I'm like desperate to watch live. Okay, so something I've had thought of is like, I feel like there was a lot of discourse starting in like early to mid 2000s and coming, you know, a little later than that into this day of like, you know, people would say this band saved my life, right? And then you get kind of the counter discourse of, oh, the band didn't save your life, you saved your own life. The band just, you know, gave you the courage to do what you needed. So I was kind of curious what you thought of.
I think
that
music in general saves lives. I mean, it gives people that connection to something that they can feel that connection sitting at home by themselves listening to a song.
Yeah.
They can feel that connection when they go to a concert and they're in a crowd of everybody else who feels that same connection. Like, I think music does save lives. I think music, you know, we don't always have those tools ourselves to be okay. And if we don't have those people in our lives that we can reach out to and say, hey, I need help, or hey, I need you to just sit here with me while I do whatever, like, music is that tool for some people.
It definitely is. So, I mean, like anytime in high school, especially like if I was like really having a rough time, which was most of high school, like I'd be on the bus and like, okay, like I gotta listen to music to get through this. I think, I don't know, like I have mixed opinions because on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, like music and I can point in my own life, like many times where like I was just having a rough time and it's like I heard the right song and I was like, oh, okay, this puts it into words. Mm-hmm. Now I like not just like have the courage to ask for help, someone, not just that, but I know how to put my feelings into words, which if you don't know the words to say, if you don't know how to express what you're feeling, like you're not really going to feel connected to anyone, right? Because you'll be like saying something, but not being understood because not being totally understood because you're not totally able to like express what you need. But I think, I don't know, something I do want to mention though is like, I could imagine being a musician and like hearing people say your band saved my life and that putting like a lot of responsibility on you.
Right.
Right. Neither of us are in, you know, bands where we've had people say that. And like, I
feel like it'd be a lot of pressure.
Yeah, a lot of pressure. Cause it's like, wow, okay, now I really hope you like the next record, or like, you know, now I hope I don't say something stupid on Twitter that you don't like, or
mm-hmm. Or I hope I'm not feeling well the next time you see me at a show afterwards,
and then I'm
come off the wrong way, like
right, or I don't want to take a picture, or I and forget a Sharpie, so I'm not able to sign your ticket. Like, it's a lot of pressure, and it's like, I don't know, it's a lot. I you know, wrote some pretty intense letters to a couple of bands like back in the day that I was able to like give to them. Was not able to, never did that for Good Charlotte. But now I have this podcast, so I think Good Charlotte knows. Like,
I think so too.
yeah. I think Good Charlotte knows I'm like pretty, you know, pretty connected to their music. Yeah,
I can say when I met them, I didn't even know how to talk. I don't think.
Yeah, I felt like, oh my God, there's so much I could say. And like I said, like, you know, I remember saying something like, you know, pretty like, so how much they meant to me and everything, but it's like, what do you say, you know?
I remember when I didn't know I was going to meet them because the only time I've met them was at Warped Tour.
Okay.
So like they left and like I just caught them and I went to like try to get into my phone to take a picture with Billy and I couldn't use my phone. I didn't know how to get to the camera because I just like lost all function.
Right.
They
You're
were
just
all
like,
so great though.
you're cute. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I would be curious, like, from a musician perspective, like what it's really like hearing people say that, like, you know, you saved my life.
Right.
Because yeah, it's pressure.
Just have like watching people fumble over their words to talk to you and, you know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it would be really intense. Like you go to bed every night with like those emotions of like someone just, you know,
yeah,
saying that stuff to you. And
yeah, I mean, not on any of the same scale at all, but I've had a couple people, both guests and people who have listened to the show that, you know, reach out and say that like they started listening to the show at the start of the pandemic and it really helped them feel connected when they felt really lonely. And that's like, it's not as intense as like this saved my life kind of thing, but it was like powerful. And it's like, I love hearing that. And I'm just like, I hope you continue to like feel the same way. That's what I'm thinking. Like, I hope you continue to feel the same way. Like,
right. And
yeah.
I think, I don't know. It's intense.
Yeah. Well, let's pivot a little bit. And I want to ask, like, how would you describe this song in terms of genre? Because like Good Morning Revival, it's the dance album, but then you go song by song and some of the
it's
songs
so melodic,
are
like
yeah.
To me it's like it's so melodic, but you can still dance to it. Like it still has those like
I can almost see like a ballroom dance kind of vibe, like wearing a long swooshy dress and some heels, like
it's perfect car dancing song too. Like just
yeah,
you know.
okay. Not a super long drive. I'm going to a show tonight and it's I don't know, it's like on the other side of the city and in my head it's like an hour away, but it's really like 20 minutes. But I live in the city, so that's I don't know, like it's like rare that I drive more than that, you know?
Right.
But I think I'll have to put the song on when I'm in the car. Just jam it out later.
I don't know if you could pinpoint a genre for it though, really.
Yeah.
Like it's just a good mix.
I put, and like, I hope this doesn't come off to the band as like insulting or anything, but I put like light rock / easy listening or adult contemporary radio.
Right.
Like kind of Coldplay-esque to me.
Right. But I was thinking like melodic adult, melodic rock.
Yeah.
Adult contemporary kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it'd be really interesting if this had been a single, like, yeah, they could play it on rock stations or alternative stations, and I'm sure, you know, top 40. But like I could say it's going on like, you know, easy listening or adult contemporary radio sure.
Top 2K.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, there really was not any backstory online. I mean, I think that we'll read some fan comments shortly. A lot of people went pretty into it. But yeah, I really didn't see any backstory online about this. But Crystal, I want to know, do you have any memories or stories that you want to share about You're Gone?
You know, mostly like it's just one of those songs that like I will, you know, I'll think of someone that I miss or something and I just play it and it makes you cry, but it also makes you happy because it's just like you know, one of those car dancing songs. Like when I have, I'm obviously an emotional person. I've already cried. So like,
it's okay. A lot of people have cried on this show. I've cried.
I don't always want something to help me through thoughts of thinking of somebody that's going to make me sad necessarily.
Yeah.
Like, it is obviously, it's a very feeling sad. It's
sometimes you're not in the space to hear
the that. Just the rhythm and stuff is more upbeat, so like it helps.
Yeah, I've definitely learned, like, especially over the past like probably 6 months to a year, is like just how much like what you need, like what I need emotionally can be so different at different moments. And like, yeah, sometimes I want to like think about how sad and lonely I am, like feel pretty emo for a bit and get it out. Sometimes I'm like, no, I need like distraction, like something else. Yeah. I want to touch on other Good Charlotte songs this either relates to or is kind of similar to. I mean, we mentioned Hold On. I feel like that's like a big one, an obvious one, but I'm curious what else comes up for you.
Oh, definitely like Mountains.
Yeah. That.
And
yeah, that's a good one.
I don't like, I feel like Good Charlotte has a very good, like, nothing sounds the same. Like, they have a very good mix, to me anyway. Like, I'm sure to like other people, you know, they think a lot of it sounds the same.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But like, to me, like, they have a very good mix and things are so different, and that's one of the things that I really like about them, because I can listen to them for literally anything at all.
Yeah. I love that, and I think that's like what's been like so fun about the show is like there's so many different like things we get to explore. Mountain is a great one, but another one that comes up for me is Let the Music Play, because that's kind of about, although it's a more positive take, it's about, you know, connecting with the music, right? Which I think is pretty great. I mean, I have it tattooed on me, so I'm biased, but let's get into some fan comments. I searched, I did not find any reviews that mentioned this song, but I mean, this song was included as like a B-side on a CD single, so like not surprising that reviews didn't mention it. I found a fan upload on YouTube by I'm like trying to read this. Meyer IATBCN. Guessing that stands for something. I don't know. Megan Marie Porter had a really wonderful comment. I'll read some of it. That's pretty long. She said, "This is the first time hearing after all these years. June 27th marks 12 years since my self-harm turned into mutilation self-harm, if that made sense. And a couple weeks after that, I was in the process of attempting suicide. My greatest wish is to meet my boys, to simply say thank you," which is like, I think that's so powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it goes along with that, like, you know, telling them that they saved their fans, that they saved fans' lives and stuff like that.
Yeah. There were a few comments of people saying that, you know, people dedicating this song to someone who they love who had recently passed away. Freddie Luis Gianfranco Lazaro Portugal said, "My classmate died 2 days ago, and by knowing the song for many years, I've dedicated this song for her. You're gone, we all miss you." The Astronomy Floyd said, "This song always reminded me of Kurt Cobain." this one makes me think of you now. And Hunka44 said, "Am I the only one who works out to this song?" I can see it. It's like a good rhythm, you know?
Right. It really is. And that's, you know, like, I think that's another reason why it is like my song for my friend Andy, because like, I swear, like the first night I met him ever, we had a few drinks at a house party or whatever, and he took me and my sister and my niece at the time, who I say she's my niece, but she's literally almost my age, you know how those things work. But like, he had given us a ride home, and pretty sure we listened to Good Charlotte that night in the car, and Avenged and all of this other stuff. And like, that's what we used to do, just sing all the time, just screaming, singing between Good Charlotte and Avenged and A Day to Remember and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, that was our thing. So I think that's like why it reminds me of him so much, because it's, to me, it's more, it's sad, but it's like upbeat. Like, I can have a good time listening to it.
I love that. And that, upbeat makes sense. I'm like, at first I saw this comment of someone who works out to the song, and I was like, what? But I'm like, I've definitely, like, with my knee, I've had just such a journey of exercising, because it's been so helpful to do physical therapy and very helpful physically. Oh, hey, did you know that exercise also tends to make you feel pretty good emotionally? Like, it just, you know, endorphins, like, feels good. If I'm like anxious about something, I don't want to exercise. But if I'm like sad or lonely or angry, if I'm angry, exercise. This is a PSA to everyone, and I know that like this is like one of the most generic pieces of advices that you hear. And I rolled my eyes at it for a very long time. However, I've come to learn it's true. But yeah, like, if you're just like struggling at all, like, try exercising. Like, it actually does help, and I can't believe I'm
seriously does
one of those people. Yeah, that's kind of like why I had part of like why like dealing with my knee stuff like was really hard this spring, because like I couldn't really do much exercise, like, at all. Like, there wasn't really anything I could do that like got my heart pumping. And so I would like just feel like frustrated about like being in pain, but I couldn't exercise. I was like,
right.
But now I try to you know, I get my steps in, I do my strength exercises and my stretches. But yeah, so I could say like working out to a song like this, because maybe you're just going with the vibes, the beat. Maybe you're, you know, feeling sad or feeling down, and you do want to like connect with it lyrically a little more. I want to go into a few of the comments from songmeanings.com. And a lot of the comments on song meanings were, you know, kind of this discourse of, was this song about, you know, someone who took their own life, or was this song about someone who passed due to like a terminal illness or an accident or injury at a young age? Earth to J Me said, I don't believe this song is associated with suicide at all. I think it's about a fan who maybe had a terminal illness like cancer, who perhaps contacted the band to let them know how much they love them, but they never responded while they were alive, and so this song is a tribute to them. And this person said that it makes them think of their little brother who passed from cancer, which is so sad. Panic Fan 16 said that it reminded them of a close friend who took their own life. I am, by the way, I'm treating, as I'm kind of paraphrasing these comments, some people have been slightly different in how they've said some things, but I want to be respectful in how I talk about things and not be triggering. All Alone 414 said, I love this song. It is one of the best ones from GC, in my opinion. To me, it means that about someone who took their own life, and the band members are saying that no matter what happened, that person will always live in their hearts and everyone else. Kind of reminds me of what my friend used to tell me. Beautiful Place said that their favorite part is the truth about this life is that we're all in this together. That's what you said to me in all your pictures and your letters. And they think of kids that may have took their own lives even after Hold On. And it's GC's sort of thank you song to everything that's gone now. So yeah, that's pretty powerful. I think I want to share people's stories when I read the fan comments, but it's like a little, sometimes it's hard of like, that's like you put it on the internet, right? But how much of that do I want to read on the show to connect with people, right? Because a lot of these were put on the internet, 15 years ago.
And I think that's a lot of like why Good Charlotte's so amazing is because like you can just look at all these comments and just like you said, like it's powerful. Like their music is powerful and it's powerful for people in different ways.
Yeah.
And I think that's wonderful. Like one person, they can work out to this or that, and the other person can just sit and feel something. Like those are two way different feelings of power, but they're both incredible.
Yeah, they're both feelings of power. I love that you put it like that. It's just been wonderful, Crystal, and I'm so glad that we were able to do this and that I was like,
yes, me too.
You know what, let me hit you up. Like just see if you're available right now. Yeah, that's what happened here. Crystal and I were back and forth, and then I was like, let me just text her and see if she's available right now. And I think it was like 45 minutes later, we were on Zoom.
Yep.
So it's been great. But Crystal, I want to know, how has You're Gone held up for you over time?
I think it's will forever be one of my favorite songs. Like I've never actually really like played it for anybody as my Andy song. So
it's a pretty vulnerable moment. I mean,
like after this obviously airs or whatever, I'll send it to his mom and his brother and all of that. So, they can hear it if they want to, but like, I've never shared it as his song because to me, that's my song for him.
Yeah.
Like,
it's personal.
Like before that, like I always loved the song, but after that happened, like it just became his song.
Yeah. I love that.
And that's how it will forever be, I think.
Yeah. I love that. And it's so powerful when you can have that, like, forever, like, that ongoing, like, specific connection to a song. And, like,
it's weirdly, like, he gave the best hugs. So it's, like, his hugs.
That's, oh my God, Crystal, that's so powerful. And I just want to say, like, thank you. Like, I keep saying it, but, like, thank you so much for coming on and for sharing this. I think people are going to hear this episode and really like appreciate that you shared something like so vulnerable. And I'm honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if like other people listening will really connect to it.
That's what it's just like their music. That's what it's about, the connection.
Exactly. Well, as we wrap up, I always like to ask everyone, what has Good Charlotte meant to you over the years and how has that changed?
They have forever been my favorite. I think they'll forever be my favorite. And I don't know that would ever change. Like, I get super excited for, anything new. I mean, I get excited for just things I see on Twitter or to watch Ink Master because they're on, like, because Joel's on it. And
yeah.
Even, just watching, like, Billy's art on Twitter, he's sharing all of his art and stuff that he does. And I love it all. I will support all of them in anything that they do.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. And I'm with you. Like, it's so cool seeing what the members of Good Charlotte do that's not Good Charlotte. So it's like, okay, like this person like has a lot to say, and I want to hear all of it. I want to hear all of it. Crystal, do you have any last words about You're Gone, about Good Charlotte, or about yourself that you want to share?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think I said it all.
Amazing.
I love them, and I love everything that they do, and I appreciate them.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, as we wrap up, so I have a Generation GC and Friends Spotify playlist. So normally we put the song we talk about on the playlist, but You're Gone is not on Spotify.
No.
So, Crystal, I would love to hear from you just anything you're listening to lately that is not Good Charlotte that you want to add.
I really am loving the new Pierce the Veil song that just came out.
What's it called?
Oh, I can't remember what the name of it is. It just passed Nirvana.
Okay.
It just came out like a week ago, but it's so good.
I'll check it out because I haven't spent much time listening to them, but like I saw them at Warped Tour, I think a few times, and like they were so good.
Oh, it's so good. It's so different than anything they've done, but I love it. Like I appreciate when a band can change and still be phenomenal.
Amazing. Well, you're a Good Charlotte fan, so
yes.
I would think you'd like some change. Crystal, this has been wonderful. If people want to stay in touch with you, would you want to share your social media where they can find you?
Crystal Marie 027.
Amazing. Crystal, thank you so much for coming on the show. Listeners, thank you for tuning in to episode 101 of Generation GC on You're Gone from Good Morning Revival. Last time, we talked about Once Upon a Time, the Battle of Life and Death from the Chronicles of Life and Death. On our next episode, we'll be talking about a song from Cardiology. My name is Molly Hudelson once again, and as always, I've been your host, as well as the producer, creator, and editor of this podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please make sure to follow Generation GC on social media at Generation GC Pod, P-O-D, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can follow me, Molly, at mhudelson, MHUDELSON, on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you for tuning in. If you are ever interested in coming on the show, give me a shout. I would love to have you on an episode. Please make sure to follow the show, subscribe, rate, and leave a review wherever you listen. But most importantly, tell your friends. Thanks for tuning in.